I don't know. Nobody knows. Yeah, with him, there is no knowing. You know? Just ask Nicolas Maduro, former president of Venezuela and current inmate of New York City. Yeah, he was president of Venezuela. And then all of a sudden, he wasn't. The story is even crazier. What happened was, and you can go check this yourself, what happened was, Nicolas Maduro was on TV giving an interview. And then he joked about how people are threatening him, alluding to Donald Trump. And he was like, man, I'll be fine, we'll be good. And then he played a song, No War, Just Peace. And then he started mocking Trump by doing Donald Trump's dance move. Like the move, singular. Right? Yeah, he did the move. So he came on and then he did the... You know the move, the double jerk off. And Trump saw that and he was like, go get that man. Go get that man. Military went, got Maduro, brought him in, put him in a jail. Not just any prison, by the way. They put him in a prison in Brooklyn. The same prison where they are housing Diddy. Imagine that. I thought I had problems. Nicolas Maduro, he's having, whew. Imagine the irony of his situation. He was witnessing America rolling out the most brutal deportation campaign ever. And in the midst of that, you're the one immigrant they import. Maduro's probably the only immigrant who supports ICE. Yeah, he used his one phone call for them. He's like, hello, ICE, come get me, man, come get me. Yeah. No, come on, I'll fly myself. Let's work together. Come on, we can do this, guys. We can do this. That's why I say you don't know how it's going to go. Nobody knows anymore. What a crazy twist of fate. Can you imagine? For decades, you ruled your empire with an iron fist. You terrorized people around you. You were violent, never held accountable. And now, they've taken away all your oil, and you're in the same prison as Nicolas Maduro. Ain't that a bitch? The one silver lining of this whole situation is that now would be the perfect time for an alien invasion. There's no good time. I think we can all agree on that. He had a dream, and he lived happily ever after. Happy MLK Day, 50% off your mattress. But when you see his life, it's not like that. Because that, like, genuinely, when people talk about it, they'll be the Happy MLK Day, and then it almost sounds like a Disney movie. It has like the same plot as a Disney movie, It's just like, this summer, one man, one dream, changed the world. I have a dream. Timothy Chalamet is Martin Luther King, only on Disney+. That's how it feels. But when you see his life laid out, I mean the minutiae of his days, the things that he and the people around him were experiencing. He was arrested somewhere around like 29 times over the course of like 4 years. Trumped up charges. Sometimes he was left in a jail cell by himself, wasn't given food, wasn't given a phone call, nothing. Sometimes he was beaten, sometimes they just, you see this man's life in detail. They chased him out of towns. The federal government came after him. J. Edgar Hoover himself, the head of the FBI, designated Martin Luther King as the most dangerous man in America. And then the FBI ran a concerted campaign to destroy him. They try and break up his friendships and his working relationships. And the most sinister thing they did was they tapped his phones and they found out that he was having an affair. And they phoned his wife, Coretta Scott King, and they snitched on him because they thought that would destroy his marriage and destroy the movement. Yeah. The FBI tried to dish gossip on Martin Luther King. Totally changes how you see the organization. Right? FBI seems so serious. Now you get the real picture. They're in that J. Edgar Hoover building in the morning. What are you working on, Kowalski? Drug enforcement, sir. What about you? Sir, criminal crimes, specifically financial. And you? Drama. You see everything that happened to MLK, everything. Some of it internal because he writes about it, some of it external because people are observing. One of the sections that really lays out what it was like is a 4-year stretch where Dr. King and other black people would try to go and get served in restaurants that were segregating black people and weren't allowing them to get food. They would walk into the restaurants, they would sit down, dressed to the nines, and they would get denied service. They would get kicked out, they would get cursed at, spat on. Oftentimes they were beaten, right? Leave with concussions, bleeding. They'd go home, they'd wash up, they'd come back, they'd do it again. Go home, wash up, do it again. Go home, wash up, and do it again. And now, when we talk about it, we go, well, they did the right thing because look how it turned out. Yes, but when you read his life, you go, it wasn't inevitable. There was no guarantee that it was going to work. There was no sign that it was working. And yet, they persevered. And when I was looking through his life and when I was reading his works and I was looking, I was like, was there ever a moment when he regretted? Was there ever a moment when he regretted what he had gone through, what he was doing? Like when he tasted white people's food for the first time? No, because you realize until that point it was theoretical, right? Black people had never been served in these establishments. They only wished to be served in these establishments. But they had never eaten there. Right? They would just sit down at the counter. And the owner would come and be like, God damn it! I told you I don't want your kind around here. Get out of here, boy! And be like, oh, my brother, I have a dream. I have a dream that one day, regardless of the color of our skin, all people will be allowed to sit here, our brothers and sisters, black and white alike, and America will come good on its promise that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day, oh, shut up. You've won. They changed the laws. Look at the TV. Here's your food. Thank you very much. Oh, shit. Now I have a new dream. I have a new dream that one day white people will discover seasoning. And I have a dream that they will no longer consider black pepper to be a spice. I have a dream that we will all come together to defeat the real white devil, mayonnaise. Can you imagine how awkward it must have been? That first walk after that first meal. Martin and his boys walking into the parking lot. Dead quiet. For this shit, Martin? For this shit, Martin? I'm so sorry, fellas, I didn't know. God damn it, Martin, you had them whipping our ass for this shit? Did you taste that food? I thought it was delicious. That's why I thought they were blocking us. I apologize, fellas. I'm so sorry, fellas. My bad. God damn it, Martin, that shit tastes like depression, man. Is this the shit we've been fighting for? I'm so sorry, everybody. I'll make it up to y'all. I'll buy everybody Popeyes on the way home. Who will you be when history calls? Thank you. You know, the conundrum of life is when we're at it, and it was this whole thing, and then it devolved into a huge fight. And I'll be honest with you, I could actually see where both people were coming from. Emotionally, I got it. On the one hand, someone was saying, how can you throw a celebration at a time when it feels like the world as we know it has fallen apart? How can you be joyous when it looks like every norm and institution we have understood that makes up the fabric of society is falling apart? Our public trust is falling apart. Our trust in each other is falling. How can you throw a party? But the other person was saying, how can I not? I have lived and worked my entire life to get to this place. I have finally achieved it against all odds. And so for this moment, I wish to enjoy. And both are right, right? Both are right. In every hospital around the world, there's a ward where a baby has just been born and another where somebody has just died. Jubilation, the start of a new life. Despair, the loss of something. Reading a book that was accounts from soldiers who served in Germany. Talking to veterans who've been there at the time. This book goes through their experiences. And while they talk about the trench warfare, which is some of the worst warfare that has ever invented, they talk for years and years and years, and the soldiers would cycle in and cycle out every day, going in their lost. Card games, and they play around. They had a satirical newspaper that they started, and they'd make jokes about their commanding officers and what was happening in the war and each other. And one of the wildest things I read was there was a day when a cow walked into the battlefield. So it was in no man's land. It was perfectly between the Allies and the Axis, and it was like both sides wanted the cow, and then they shouted across to the Germans, and they said, we want the cow. And then the Germans were like, no, we want the cow. And then they agreed. They said, okay, let's play a game. We'll throw up coins in the air and we'll try to shoot them. Whoever hits the coin gets to keep the cow. And then the English soldiers shot the coin. And then the Germans were like, okay, you win the cow, but we'd like our coins back. And then the English soldier went, got the coins, was like, oh, they're going to kill me. And then got the coins and then gave them to the Germans and then ran back and got in the trenches. And then everyone was like, fun game. It's littered with stories. There were stories of soldiers singing to each other on evenings randomly. They would sing across enemy lines at the other soldiers, and the other soldiers would sing back. Can you imagine that? You're in a trench, your feet are rotting, everyone's tired, scared. In the midst of that, all of a sudden someone's just like, say you. Just because the big is happening doesn't mean that the small stops. My therapist told me that I am undateable. Yeah. In the session,